Okay, to begin lesson 3, I'm just going to add in one new item, which is your second self-closing tag that you're going to learn, and it's called a horizontal rule. And again, since it's self-closing, you're going to put in a slash at the end. And by putting in that tag simply and then saving, what that does is it puts up a horizontal line, as you can see. Okay, now, again, like with the font tag, you can actually add attributes to this as well. So if I click beside the slash here and after the R and put in a color tag, and I put equals and then in quotes, and I'm just going to put in a simple color like, let's see, navy. Okay, and I click save. Now I can change the color of that line to navy. Okay, now I can also add an attribute like size. In this case, it'll be the thickness of the line, and you have to put in a fixed value as a result. And I'll just put in a 6 and save. And then when I reload this, you'll notice that the thickness of the line increases. Okay. Another thing you can add is the width of the line. And this one is one where you can decide on. You could put a fixed value. I could put in like 200 pixels. It'll become 200 pixels long. But the one challenge is that sometimes the window size varies, and someone might have the window such that it's very large and 200 pixels would look very strange. So instead of putting a fixed value, I'm going to put in a percentage. I'm going to put in 50%, which makes it half the size of the window. And then I want you to look at the default alignment when I do this. So if I go refresh on this, you notice that the default alignment is centered. So if I want to change the alignment, I can add another attribute called align equals, and then in quotes, and then I can put left, right, or center. So in this case, I'm going to put in left. Okay. And I save and reload, and there it goes. Okay, let's continue. The next thing I want you to type in is, just put in my favorite activities. Okay, and then I want you to make a list. So in this case, I'll make a list. I'll start with windsurfing, one of my favorite activities, water skiing, another one of my favorite activities, photography, another one of my favorite activities, karate, which I do quite a bit of, and something I'm trying to learn, kiteboarding. There we go. So you put in those 5, and then if you remember from when we typed in the main title and then the date following, and I didn't put in the BR, it all appeared on a single line. Now this is exactly the same thing. I've typed it in, although I've hit enter several times in Smultron, we've not typed in anything that indicates that it should go to another line or even make a list. So I'm going to click save and just show you that. It's all going to appear as a single line. Okay, which looks totally useless. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make this into a list. And there's 2 different kinds of lists. You can have an ordered list or an unordered list. And so let's start with an unordered list, and the tag for that is UL. And then immediately after I type in the opening tag, I want to type in the closing tag. Now, if I type this, now I've said, okay, between here and here, this is a list. And I'm thinking, okay, well, am I done? Well, no, not quite, okay? Because although we've identified that these items will be in a list, we haven't indicated which ones are list items. This would look like a single line to this. So it would appear as a single item in the list, just like this. To actually make it appear as a list, we have to identify each one of these as a list item. So in this case, to make it appear better, I'm going to indent it, and I'll put in the LI tag, which is list item. And you're sitting there going, oh my god, that's going to take forever to type in if you're not a fast typist. So all I do is I highlight this, I do a Command C, which is a copy, and then I click here and do Command V, Command V, Command V, and then Command V. So there are my list items. And then I just put in the closing tag, and I'll do the same thing. And I'll copy this, Command C, and then Command V, Command V, Command V, Command V, and I click Save. Okay, now if you view this one, now I've got a bulleted list, and that's the default bullet, the filled in circle. Now, you can also change the type of bullet. There's very limited types. There's only 3 different types. But you can change the type by going into the opening UL tag and then space to indicate that you're going to need an attribute next, and put in type equals, and then in quotes, I'm going to put in circle, and I'll save that. And then I'll reload. And you'll notice that circle is a circle. It's like the bullet, but it's not filled in. It's just the outline. Okay. If you wanted to switch it back by word, it's disk for a filled in circle. The other thing we can put in is square. Okay. Now there are no other bullets. If you did want to put in bullets that are different, you could put in a list where you put in images. Okay. But then you'd have to individually put in those images. Okay, so we got squares instead. Okay. Now, the other kind of list I mentioned before was an ordered list. So instead of UL, it would be OL. And then I'll just change the closing tag to OL. And I'll click Save. Go back to here. And if I click Refresh, it changes it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, again, the ordered list has different types as well. So that's the default numbered. So if I put in space and then type again, and then equals, and I put in the letter A, and I click Save, it changes it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to A, B, C, D, E. And you notice it's all lowercase. Now, if I want to change it to uppercase, it's as simple as typing in a capital A. I save that, and then I reload, and it changes it to a capital A, B, C, D, E. The other order that we can also use is the I. And I bet you're wondering what the I is. Well, that changes it to Roman numerals, which is really cool. Okay, so you notice it's like this, and if I want to, I can change it to a capitalized Roman numerals by putting in a capital I. Save that, reload that, and there's my list. Okay, and I'll end this tutorial at this point as well.